Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore. I'm here with Steph, the Alter Nerd, and we are celebrating because it was so nice at WFLA, JB, to do a whole article about all the incredible stuff we did for Sunrise DV Shelter here in Tampa Bay. Apparently, we helped them because of the pandemic. They were facing budget gaps, and we were able to keep them going, providing their services uninterrupted. So to everybody who gave, thank you. That was such an incredible stream. Still can't get over it, Steph. Almost $46,000 is where we almost were at. It's an incredible amount. I'm so proud. So thanks to everybody who was part of that. I bring it up because, look, we have a lot of survivors in this chat, a lot of survivors in our audience, and this is a story we're going to talk about that may trigger some of you guys. So I give you a friendly heads up and a friendly warning because there's a case going around regarding, I don't know if you guys will remember him, Saturday Night Live cast member Horatio Sanz. But this case is sort of even just bigger than him. While he's sort of the person in this guy right here, if you remember him on Saturday Night Live, while he's the one that, did these actions, what's really troubling about this case as we break down some of the details is that she's alleging everyone, the cast, SNL, producers, they all knew what was going on. They all knew what was happening, and they all just sort of batted a blind eye and allowed it. And it's really terrifying. The seemingly cover-up, speculating here, I got to be careful, there's allegations here, but the seeming cover-up here from the likes of people like Jimmy Fallon, etc., is terrifying. So I'm going to break down some of these bullet points from the case that actually happened earlier. It was mid-year, actually. It was over the summer this lawsuit dropped, but not really a lot of people talked about it. And it looks like NBC, Saturday Night Live are absolutely doing their best to let this disappear, Steph. You know what I mean? So you were reading a lot of this document that this came back in the forefront because the accuser has now spoken out to the Daily Beast in an article saying, look, he did it all over Saturday Night Live. This was not a one incident thing that was just about him. It's such a bigger issue, and she wants accountability, and she wants to make sure an investigation is properly done to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else over there. And I got to say, after everything I've read, it sounds pretty credible. Steph, what do you think?
Sounds credible to me. Reason being is because of the documentation that they quote to back up the allegations, some of which is actually shown in this article. But second, the detail that is provided in terms of what happened, when, how she felt, where everyone was, what he did, is very specific. Very, very specific. And so for me, that lands a lot of credibility rather than just, he did this at a party, I was drunk, and that was it, like broad strokes kind of allegation. This goes into a level of detail that, unless she's a freaking novelist or, fiction writer, it to me lends a lot of credibility on that as well. So it's not looking good for Horatio Sanz, that's for sure. Andy, I can't hear you, mate.
There's a lot of details to go through, and most of which will get me demonetized. So it is what it is, but I'm going to try my best to work around the words, not because I'm trying to hide them, but because I want the story to get out, and this platform makes it so hard to talk about these issues, Steph, which are so important to talk about in a civil news way, not exploitative way. But you guys know how it goes. So bear with me. Thank you for your support, getting this out there, etc. Because we're going to be up against the algorithm in this one for sure. So be prepared. Now, look, there's a history of these parties at SNL. These go way back. The pills and everything else, down the Belushi days, etc. I didn't know it was still happening up through the Fallon days, but I guess it was. You may not know who this cast is, but usually everybody has a Saturday Night Live cast they remember, whether it was Will Ferrell or Dana Carvey or right now, or Seth Meyers or whoever it is. Everybody sort of has people that they sort of gravitate towards, and this was sort of the Jimmy Fallon years is the best way. He was the number, he was always there with Jimmy Fallon laughing in his skits. But they did a lot of these things together. Before I even get to it, there's something interesting here as I was trying to do my homework. When Will Ferrell left, he did that here. I found the quote. When Will Ferrell left, and I love Will Ferrell, he uses an analogy that Lorne Michaels, creator of Saturday Night Live, hated hearing. He didn't want to become that guy who has graduated from high school but still hangs out in his van in the parking lot picking up seniors. And I always remembered that, and it sort of was said something very telling that Farrell just felt like it was almost like Farrell was making a joke, but also I clearly pointed to what I think was like he was clearly calling out the behavior that was happening at Saturday Night Live and probably happening more often than they wanted it to admit. And it's scary. So I want to go through this document here. I have it here. I'm going to start with the most damning thing of it all. This person was underage, is what I'm going to have to tell you. I don't want to get specific on that, but not an adult. And was being basically swooned, like, hey, come on. She ran a Jimmy Fallon website, and this was like the AOL and AIM message boards days, early 2000, and right before 9/11. And so this was like, that was still like a AOL time, and that was a terrible year. I was young myself, and I remember those chat rooms and things, and it was very easy to prey on people in that day. And it was just not policed. It was very dangerous, wild west, and I'm sure a lot of kids got shown things that they shouldn't have been shown. And so that's where this all happened. She started a message board group or something for Jimmy Fallon and Saturday Night Live, and Horatio Sanz sort of gotten connected to the fans through that message board, and then swooped this girl into New York and brought her to all the after parties. And this girl was, what was it, 15, Steph, at the time when it started?
Yes. 15.
15, 16. And anyway, began to take her to these parties. There's a moment in these documents, there's so much to go through, but there's a moment in here where basically she alleges that Jimmy Fallon, asked, she's like, what do you do? Let me find it, actually. It's important. Here it was. Jane Doe, because she's underage, they don't use her name. Fallon told the outlet he gave her advice for SATs and suggested colleges she could attend. Similarly, alleged that during a party, Fallon said, so do you have a few years before you graduate, after she revealed she was in high school. At that point, I think there's hold on, I'm going to do this one. There's a silence just fell across the whole table as she sort of admitted to everybody, I'm still in high school, and I'm a junior. And everybody knew at that point, like, that's not good. The people seated at the table became very quiet when the plaintiff disclosed she was a junior. At the same party, the suite claims Fallon introduced Jane to Lauren Michaels, with whom she discussed her fan site. The Daily Beast has reviewed a lot of notes provided by Jane that detail her conversations with Fallon and
Contemporaneous.
others. Thank you. That detail her conversations with Fallon and others that night. So she's keeping a lot of notes and evidence. Is that evidence real? I don't know. Why would you keep all that stuff? You may, because you want to keep track of this amazing opportunity you're getting and what you said with these people, and you may not even be trying to think anything about it at that point. So take that as you will. But the long of the short of it, Horatio starts, putting his arm around her. It gets more, they get more touchy-feely. This girl's still 16, 17. And everyone in these parties knows. They talk about it in much detail, and everyone bats a blind eye. She says another cast member did an inappropriate thing. She doesn't name that person yet. Excuse me, but she's drinking and doing all this stuff while she's underage at these SNL parties without anybody checking ID or verifying or what's going on. And it had some serious ramifications on her, obviously. Besides even just, it escalates to abuse. She alleges that he, took it across the line and to the worst way you can think. But even before all that, just the fact that she was sort of pulled from her high school, couldn't have her high school connections as people do at that age, and suddenly thrusted upon these socialite, amazing celebrities and forcing her to think about how she's dressing and age herself up, 10 years, literally overnight. And the pressure of that on a 16-year-old really effed her up in the head. And she, as time progressed and she realized it as she went on to college and other things, it stunted her in ways that she just wasn't prepared for. Overly medicated herself, fell into a lot of drugs and stuff. And when I read this story, Steph, it's really heartbreaking as you go all through it. And it does seem very credible. But again, I want to go to the most damning evidence of it, which sort of really threw it over the line of me of like, all right, we got to talk about this. These are text messages that she kept, and she has. They're part of the lawsuit, and they were mentioned in the recent interview as well. But he admitted it. He admitted it in text messages in November of 2019. November of 2019, defendant Sanz further expressed adamantly to plaintiff He felt horrible about hooking up with plaintiff, at a then 16-year-old. He unintentionally groomed plaintiff. He was very sorry. Plaintiff could Me Too him because it happened. He would swear in a stack of improv books that I'm a different person. I took friendship where it could. After the Tracy Morgan party, I really tried to fix what I'd done. I was very immature, and I had very limited sexual awareness. He was doing this to himself while they spoke, and that was dumb shit. I don't lead my life that way now. I was bragging to you because I was effed up. I was a creep, but a wounded creep, and I've tried to make amends since quitting drinking. He wasn't really thinking, but I really didn't do that with others. It was an effing mistake. I'm very sorry. If you want to Me Too me, you have every right. Just believe me, I'm not like that anymore. I don't love that old me as much as you probably don't. He apologized for using and manipulating plaintiff. I really cared about you. Just was so low. It was a new thing, and it was wrong. I was wrong. I've admitted I was wrong. I was a lonely wreck, and I thought I was giving you some fun at those parties. It seems worse. Try to rationalize it, so I'll stop. Making out with a 16-year-old girl is far from kitty effing not appropriate, but Jesus, kitty effer? It was wrong. I was wrong. They talked pretty much every single day. I was a small man that craved any attention. I wasn't 24/7. I was ashamed. I had a real issue with sex. I was stunted. I didn't know how it worked. I spent all my 20s trying to be funny, so I wasn't normal with girls. He was doing that again. I need a code word. He was fruiting. I don't know.
Making himself happy.
He's making himself happy. Probably on IM. I effed up. But I've effed up a lot of my life, so it really hurts that I did that to you. I let us get closer and closer. I was a weak man. I was wrong. He sees that his weakness set plaintiff back a lot. I'm just sorry. I was dumb, very dumb. I wanted to impress you. I got out of hand with something new to me. You happen to be 16. You made me decompose. What is that? Decompose?
Decoupage.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but I believe that is how you pronounce it because it's very French. Let me have a look. Decoupage, meaning the art or craft of decorating objects with paper cutouts. What? Really?
Okay. I cared. And as for the first cause of, this, plaintiff incorporates by referencing the above and below allegations of this complaint fully therein. So, look, I mean, that's pretty damning. If you weren't sure and you didn't know how to react to this, if these are verified and they can verify, which I'm sure they could try and figure out how to do, it's not that old, 2019. You can get a thing to verify that. I mean, he admitted it, Steph. So usually I'm one who's very careful in jumping on these witch hunts, it seems sometimes, or things. Mm-hmm. This whole is SNL I don't know, as all this comes in and you see this text exchange and everything else, it's hard to not find this a credible witness, and I feel for her, and the fact that yes, Horatio clearly needs to face accountability for what he did. Excuse me, for what he did here. The fact that it was happening on the watch of SNL at these parties when she was underage, getting alcohol and things. And she says there was other people happening it to, right? There was a friend of hers who was sort of getting in there as well. The fact that this could just happen there, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And I totally believe they're doing everything in their power to bat this away, pay her off, do whatever they can to silence this, because similarly to Matt Lauer, how NBC screwed all that up, this is some really effed up stuff. It's crazy, Steph. And so, there's more details we can get to, but overall, anything else you want to add based on what you read and what you think here as you see all this?
For all intents and purposes, my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, this Horatio Sanz is an absolute monster. And even in those text messages, he, in my opinion, absolutely admits 200% of what he did. But a lot of it is BS in the sense of, oh, well, I wasn't experiencing this and that, and this was happening and this was happening at the time, and I was unhappy and I didn't know what I was doing, blah, blah, blah. No. You knew exactly what you were doing. As far as I'm concerned, right, a real monster, in my opinion, Horatio whoever Sanz is a freaking real monster here, right, consciously chose this Jane Doe in terms of being his prey, and then consciously after that decided to manipulate and make her be a little bit more friendly towards him. Can't say the actual word, but all I'm going to say is think between the lines what I'm saying here. Wedding groom. There you go. He was wedding groom her. That's how I'm going to code that. Abso-freaking-lutely. Because when you read through the Daily Beast article and everything that she says, right, in terms of what he did, it was a conscious and very, very, very calculated decision of how he started small and then started to ramp up and ramp up and ramp up every step of the way to get it more to a point where it was even more disgusting, more disgusting, more disgusting against a freaking child. And he's turning around and saying, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. I was inexperienced, this, that, and the other. No.
Yeah.
You adult, she child.
And he's caught,
What
right? He's
the
worried about
frick?
Me Too coming to get him. So that's the only reason he's apologizing to her at doing that in 2019. He's clearly now living with the guilt of, oh, shit, she's going to come and get me for the shit I did.
He's trying to manipulate her further.
Yeah.
This is the further point that I want to make here. By having this text exchange, what he's trying to do, and through his own freaking ego and hubris, is thinking, I've still got power over this woman, the woman now, that is. I've still got the gift to be able to manipulate her because I did back in the day, right? And he's trying to be apologetic and he's trying to appeal to a good-natured side, this, that, and the other, to say, oh, yeah, you could Me Too me, but, you know, feel sorry for me. Yeah, don't do that. Feel sorry for me. He's trying to manipulate her further, as far as I'm concerned, in that text exchange so that she doesn't Me Too him, so that she doesn't take him to court and completely destroy him. No. Freaking, as far as I'm concerned, destroy away, lass. Destroy away completely. Hammer and pulverize that monster until there's freaking nothing left. Because he took away so much. Freaking get it back. Rise up and get it back. And she's doing it right now. So freaking awesome. And then it's so disgusting to think that, you know, SNL allegedly, Jimmy Fallon allegedly was aware of this. Or there was at least a culture of this, where there are adults that are not having correct communications, correct links, let's say, with children. Excuse you? Now, Andy has said, you know, this happened years ago, so maybe whatever. No. I suspect that to a certain degree, this kind of shadiness is still happening now. My opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever. Because when this kind of BS is left unchecked and they can get away with it, they continue to get away with it because it's left unchecked. They're not called out. They're not found out. So there's no kind of, what is it for them to stop with the culture?
Well, I was just going to say, though, the only reason I say that is because the culture shifts. They have a whole new staff that comes in, sometimes a whole new cast that's there, like Kate McKinnon there right now. Do I believe she's doing that? I don't know. There's a lot of women now and different people. So I don't know what the culture is.
What about
today.
the heads?
Well,
what about the people that are in charge?
Lauren Michaels is in charge of it all, so it's fair. There needs to be some sort of investigation as to what happened, especially with the people who are there now, and is it the same? But that's what I meant. It is completely. They do really mix these casts up, but you're not wrong. There could still be a bad apple in that bunch. That Lauren Michaels is batting a blind eye to, and he's clearly done it before. And he needs to be held accountable for this. How did this happen? How? I mean, I don't even know who's in charge of those parties, but the fact that she was able to come in and just drink, like that's a crime. that's
like they let her in.
Yeah, and they're giving it to a minor.
Why?
It makes no sense. Steph, as you go through, and I'm trying to find some of it, but she later she was hospitalized. He was annoyed, And then as she was hospitalized and she was struggling, he steered the conversations into more sex, trying to get off again and ask for photos, etc. Again, this stuff is sick, man. Now, again, it's accusations. It's one to be fair, but I don't know. The more I've read this, the more I'm sort of horrified of. I don't know. There's a lot of witnesses and things here that it's like, well, let's start asking around. And
dude freaking admits it in those text messages, allegedly.
Yeah, well, there's so many witnesses they talk about. There's this NBC employer who's watching Sanz, basically, her, and he literally goes, "Are you effing serious?" Another friend recalled, "I remember Horatio once trying with you. Now that I'm thinking this through, you were upset, and you said, thank God you were wearing pantyhose because it stopped the action." It's messed up. A lot of witnesses, a lot of people, as I go through these documents, to really show that this wasn't okay. And this isn't just some weird lone accusation, where sometimes I worry, is it true? And then again, Jimmy Fallon knows she's in high school, and they were good friends. It's not saying Jimmy Fallon did anything with Kat. There's no allegations of that, but he seemed to sort of ignore the fact that his buddy's girlfriend was underage and was drinking at the after party. Jimmy Fallon does that a lot. I just feel like he just wants everyone to like him and not get in any trouble. And it's like, I don't know. There's always something that rubbed me wrong that way. But yeah, he basically at one point even said, "Oh, Jimmy knows you're an SLTUT." There's a lot of dark stuff in this thing. As well as don't tell anybody, you promise, send me stuff. Maybe Lauren will give you his tickets. Like using the stuff, this is exactly what they accused me of doing, right? And I never did this kind of shit. I never crossed the line of using my brand to get laid. At the same time, I've had that fight with Jody and others. It's like, well, you can. If this person was an adult, we could have that debate, right? We could have the debate. Yeah. But what's so frustrating is this is a kid. This is a kid. You don't get to do that with a kid. Not only is there already the complicated power imbalance and things that we could have the discussion on, this kid's not of age to be able to have these choices. They're not ready yet. And he stole that from her. And that's sad and disgusting and makes me mad. So I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of this because it didn't get a lot of heat. It didn't get a lot of attention. I think Sloan did a video. I saw a couple others way back when this first came out. So kudos to people who did try to get this out there because it is pretty damning. But kudos to her for speaking to the Daily Beast to get a little bit more attention on this. Horatio's team denies everything. They deny it all, and they say, I want to get his one comment before I do. When reached out for comment, Sanz's attorney told the Daily Beast, referred to the statement of denial he issued last year on his client's behalf. This individual's claims about Horatio Sanz are categorically false. However often she repeats her ludicrous allegations or tries to rope in other high-profile names to generate media attention, they will always be false. Before filing this lawsuit anonymously, she demanded $7.5 million in exchange for her silence. We, of course, refused and will vigorously contest these totally meritless claims. Her lawyers say that's not true. But there you go. They're both fighting and denying it in the way. Any final words on this topic, Steph?
If that text message is correct, as in true, valid, not fake, he's definitely a monster and he needs to go down. But either way, right? Even if he didn't do half of what is, let's say, alleged in this document here, fact of the matter is, right? She is witnessed being at these damn after parties that she shouldn't have been at in the first place. She is witnessed as a freaking child drinking alcohol underage. You are supplying a substance to a minor. That is not good. That is extremely evil. However, one would then reasonably then deduce to the notion of, well, why are you supplying a substance to a minor in the first place? Come on, that ain't a large freaking leap there, to be fair. As far as I'm concerned, that text message is real, which I believe it is. This dude is a monster and he needs to go down. Not only that, but there needs to be major accountability on SNL. As far as I'm concerned, do I think SNL should be cancelled? No. Don't care about SNL, never really watched it anyway. But I think that there's still a culture there that has been unchecked for years, and it needs to be completely wiped out. And it goes back to, something that really naffs me off, which is people that are fake allies, right? So this whole Me Too movement, when it came out, everyone allied up to the Me Too movement. And the survivor community. Yes, we believe, we're, this, that, and the other. Yes, we wear our Me Too badge, blah, 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 right? A lot of those mofos now have done the very thing that they went on the bandwagon for against in the freaking first place. A lot of them are freaking hypocrites, including, as far as I'm concerned now, SNL. NBC. Not only did this potentially allegedly happen, which I believe it did, but it was a freaking open secret, like freaking Harvey W. Should know what I'm talking about there, if not Google it. It was an open freaking secret and they did nothing about it. By not doing anything about it, they're just as freaking culpable. So she's absolutely right, not only to go after freaking Horatio, but NBC as well. Hold them to the fire and really rip them to shreds. Abso-freaking-lutely. It's disgusting. There's so much that's happened with NBC around this kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, it's someone said it.
Quite clearly, they've not changed.
Some of the chat said it, but they're right. Look, it's the culture of this is bigger than SNL, sadly. It's true. And we're still trying to clear it up, but, a lot of the way the Me Too movement went down was not the way you do it. In all these movements and hashtag things, people got overly excited and overly aggressive and canceled people and pushed them over ledges without any evidence sometimes, and it pissed people off. And it turned people off from the issues that were real. And look, my case was one of them, Steph, obviously. And I was worried about that when I came forward with my evidence because, fuck, this is going to give so many people more ammo to, not believe victims. But the sad reality is, you can't just we can't just believe everybody right out the gate. Yes, we listen, we respect, we hear, but we got to hear all sides of things, and we just can't scream and get social media to back us up and use that as evidence. It's not evidence, and the reality is, this woman took this to court. She gathered it. She kept her receipts. She's going for this, and I got to say, because she did all that, I believe her. I read it all, and I feel like, okay, yeah, this is a credible thing here, and this is scary. And the reality is, when you go up against powerful people like that, you got to keep the receipts. You got to keep your receipts, and you got to do all this. Otherwise, they're going to get away with it. It's just sadly, how the world works. So, yeah, look, I want to talk more about the balance of power and some other connections to mine. We're going to talk more about it. I do want to trim this here, though, for the YouTube sake. If you want to see the whole show, you can always hit that join button, become a member, hit our members-only channel playlist on the main channel page. Go to popcornplanet.com and scroll down. You'll see it, members-only videos. You can always catch our full live stream, which can go for a couple hours, sometimes 3-4 hours if we're feeling crazy. Appreciate it to all our members who support, and that way you get the replays and more exclusives. Thanks to Steph the Alternerd. You can go subscribe to her over at Steph the Alternerd. Hit the subscribe button. If you can't afford to join, you can at least hit the subscribe button. It's free. So is hitting that bell to guarantee you get the videos. Smash the like button and leaving a comment down below. We got so much more to talk about, so if you're watching live, don't go anywhere. If you're watching on the replay, thanks for watching. Thanks for finding us. Catch us live around 2 o'clock every weekday. We appreciate you.
Ish.
Ish.